The importance of third-party reconciliation, one of the services that Fairbanks obviously provides, is that it is a level of leak detection. As a regulator in my day job, it's important that petrol filling stations do not have any leaks from tanks and lines, and the service they offer is to make sure that this is controlled. If there is a leak, they will pick it up very quickly, identify there's a leak, and then call in the appropriate level of service to come and repair or replace or whatever is needed.
I was a retailer myself for 12.5 years, and when I wrote a recent article on this, I actually admitted that I was very, very stupid during the time I ran a forecourt, because I did my own wetstock analysis, and I did it very badly. In fact, some of the time I was making the figures up because I just didn't have the time to go out and physically do the dips. But at the end of the day, you know, I wasn't cheating the petroleum officer, I was cheating myself. Because over the 12 years, I don't know what losses I had. I honestly don't.
The risks are massive. It's like all insurance. You may save a little bit of money by not doing it, but that one time when there potentially could be a leak and it causes an environmental situation, it'll more than pay for itself.
Environmental is very, very important for us. If we're rolling a site over, disinvesting in a site or whatever, it's our responsibility for that site to be clean. As I said earlier, we spoke with the petroleum officers locally, and they were quite happy for us to continue to run sites with single skin tanks as they are now if we put Fairbanks into place, rather than replace with double-lined tanks.
They look after all of our risk assessments, on-site risk assessments, fire risk assessments, which keep us compliant and within the law.
I think the Co-op has always been seen to be a sort of quite a friendly sort of supermarket group, keen to be green. I'd like to think that we have the best technology. Nothing's ever at 100%, but I think as far as we're concerned, we want to have the best technology available to ensure that we do not pollute necessarily the land surrounding our petrol stations.
I suppose in its essence, Fairbanks might be viewed as an insurance. So if something goes wrong, or rather when something goes wrong, because we bury steel underground and it will corrode, so when something goes wrong, we want to be able to detect it as quickly as possible.
I would say in the 6 years that we've now been dealing with Fairbanks, first of all we've introduced it to the remaining stations, so that's approximately another 170 stations, 230 odd altogether. We did that to replace a proposal to carry out a tank inspection programme, which would have meant intrusive work into tanks and inspecting internally. And instead of rolling that out, we chose to use Fairbanks to monitor our stock losses throughout our network on every single storage tank.
The environment is always of huge concern. Again, going back to my own experience, the site that I took over was a very small rural site. It was been there for donkey's years, and the tanks were over 30 years old. And it was always in the back of my mind that even now they could come back and we could find out that they'd been leaking during the time I was there. And it could literally, it wouldn't just put you out of business, it would put you out of your house and home.
We have about 40 sites with real-time monitoring, and we plan to put the rest of the network onto real-time next year. But real-time monitoring, for the extra cost involved, is peanuts, but that is really, really good information, because what it does gives you real-time information as what's happening on your service station.
The cost of a reconciliation provided by someone like Fairbanks would be minimal compared to the cost of remediation after an environmental spill, or the level of fine may be levied for fire and explosion purposes, and the cost of redevelopment. If you weigh up the two, the third-party option would probably be preferable to some of your smaller operators.